It's time for another special edition of the Fall Classic Sports Talk Live as the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers meet in the World Series. Tonight's broadcast is a Northern Lights Entertainment production. Here are your hosts, Glenn and Eric.
All right, welcome to Giants Sports Talk Live. Has been renamed Fall Classic Sports Talk Live. Game 2 recap of the World Series, Los Angeles Dodgers, Toronto Blue Jays. Wow, what a game by Yamamoto. Again, second game in a row in the postseason. He goes out there and tosses another complete game. Led to the victory today for the Dodgers. They beat the Blue Jays 5-1. Without further ado, guess who we have with us again?
And now, a special guest appearance, Lou Marsden, on tonight's edition of the Fall Classic Sports Talk Live.
Hello, guys.
All right, Lou, appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, buddy. Awesome. All right, let's get in this. Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Wow, what'd you think of the game?
Well, there's $325 million the Giants didn't spend. I mean, let them go to the Dodgers. 325, we're not paying that. And, everybody talks about guys like Skubal, Skeens, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
but they don't throw out the name Yamamoto as often as they should. This guy's good, Eric. This is back-to-back complete games, I believe, for this guy. Didn't he throw a complete game in the championship series? Now he goes back-to-back and his command. Eric, you see him in the dugout? There's not even a moment's rest. He's in there every inning, and he's simulating pitches. He doesn't stop. It's like our mouths most nights. Don't. Jays didn't get anything going offensively. I thought it was a boring game either way you slice it. Somebody in the chat just said the Dodgers got what they wanted. I don't think they did. I thought the Dodgers were pretty damn confident. They wanted to take two. Blue Jays, they didn't get what they wanted. They were up 1-0, should have taken two. So I think this is a brand new series, 1-1. Dodgers got to feel down that they didn't get 2-0 lead going home, I think.
I think it benefits the Blue Jays more than it does the Dodgers.
And maybe good pitching, as they say. Beats good hitting. They certainly got it tonight. What do you think, Luke?
Go for it, Luke. Go for it. Yeah.
I thought tonight the pitching dominated both ways. I mean, Gosman pitched great, and then unfortunately he left a fastball in, which was torched. Will Smith took him deep, and then Max Muncy in the same inning. But, you sort of felt like whoever struck first was going to win the game. And once Toronto got down 3-1, you sort of knew it was over. Unfortunately, you had two great pitchers pitching great. I think one retired 18 straight. The other one retired 15 straight. Pitching definitely dominate tonight. But, you can't come up with big hits every game. Blue Jays only came up with 4 hits. They scored on, a sacrifice fly by my boy. Mm-hmm. But, beside that, they were sort of held in check. And, hey, it's 1-1. If we started the series, I just want, Toronto, do me a favor, just win one in L.A. And I thought tonight was so dominating. They're off tomorrow. Toronto's fine. They'll come back Monday or Tuesday because of who's coming up. I mean, Yamamoto's been so dominant. He might be the dominant of the 4. So you get him behind you. You now strive, you got Glass now, who is not going to be as dominant as these guys. And I think Toronto's fine. Just got to win one out of the next 3 to make sure it comes back. Since, I have Toronto winning in 6. So I needed the Dodgers to win one to be positive. And I thought tonight the best part was, probably the Jonas Brothers. If you were betting against the Dodgers, the Jonas Brothers sang that song. That was the best part of the game. Nothing else.
What did I tell you, Eric?
Except for one of Glenn's buddies. It was nice to see Colonel Sanders. I don't know if you saw him in the front row. All the way to the right, there was a gentleman dressed as Colonel Sanders. Pretty classic, and I'm glad that he's.
Lou, I had a craving for chicken all night long.
Colonel Sanders That was the best part of the game.
Unbelievable.
So,
The Colonel
but,
just heading over to Walnut Grove, Eric. Jesus.
yeah, it was one of those things. And what are you going to do? It's, hey,
the wave of the future.
It happens occasionally where good pitching dominates, and you just got to give the credit to Yamamoto. And that's the thing I just want to bring up, and then I'll bring it to York. When we keep talking about Webb being an ace, Webb would never do this in a period list. That's what an ace does. He dominates on the road in a game they need, and he's now done it back-to-back. Okay, Championship Series, World Series, that's what an ace is. Not a guy that pitches 500 innings, not a guy where he pitches, the team's not 500. You saw tonight what a dominant performer is, and that's why he's worth all the money.
Not just tonight, the entire postseason for this guy. Yamamoto's been lights out, pretty much dominant this postseason. And then I agree with you, Lou. The talk about Webb being an ace pitcher, he's good. And that's why I thought, hey, trade the guy. Build a staff. It doesn't have to be built around Webb. But let's get back to this series. Eric, what'd you think?
The Toronto Blue Jays had chances. They had times where they had runners on the corners with no outs or one out, and they just couldn't get the big hit. Yamamoto, look, to his credit, to exactly what Savage did. Savage did yesterday, where he had traffic all over the place and was able to extricate himself out of it without allowing too many runs. Yamamoto did it, but even better because, they had it set up a couple of times and they just couldn't come through with that big hit. And if they came through with that big hit, their biggest hit was, Lou talked about it, was a sac fly from Alejandro, and was able to score a Springer who got plunked in the hand. They had to operate the first inning, man. The first inning, no outs, runners on the corners. You're ready to rock, and you couldn't get nothing done. And look, one thing Yamamoto did, he pitched to contact. Yeah, he did have 8 strikeouts, but he pitched to contact because every time they hit the ball, they would hit the ball hard, but it would be right at somebody, whether it's Muncy or Betts. The fly balls weren't hit that hard, so I don't count those too much, but you got to be able to capitalize in those situations. And fortunately, the Blue Jays weren't able to do that. And another thing, they didn't get into a lot of deep counts like they did with Snell. They allowed Yamamoto to stick around. That's why he was able to go down to the 9th inning. To the same point, Gosman, he got to 6 2/3. He was cruising, and then the infamous Jonas brothers decided to work their freaking magic and freaking screw it up.
We got against the Jonas Brothers.
Because after the Jonas brothers, out comes Gosman and gives up 3 freaking single shots. That's why.
The Jonas brothers.
My God! And by the way, I saw a stat out there. This is before he got before he went out to the 9th inning. He's the first pitcher who is starting a game in the World Series is throwing a pitch in the 8th inning. The last person to do that was Steven Strasburg in 2019. Crazy. That's crazy. But that's what, hey, this is what Dave Roberts is doing. He's letting his guys go because he doesn't want to go to that bullpen.
I thought tonight was going to be, if you looked at it before the game and I was going to put money on this game, are the Dodgers going to lose 2 in a row? I would hedge my bet toward the Dodgers. Dodgers did win the game, but I'm now concerned when you look at the pitching. They're heading back to L.A., and Max Scherzer gets the ball for game number 3. I'm a little concerned about that. Mad Max isn't what he once was. He might be pretty upset and mad after the game.
Why aren't they going with Bieber? I thought Bieber would be a better choice for game 3.
Well, according to Shulman, it's going to be Bieber in game 4. So Max Scherzer goes game, and this is kind of strange because did we expect Yamamoto or not Yamamoto? Sorry, Savage to go in game 1? So
yeah, a little weird.
The Blue Jays just trying to pull out all the stops. They gave the extra rest. It looked good early for the Jays tonight, but like I say, after it got up to like 3-1, I was heading to the local KFC with my buddy. I stuck around though, Lou. Before I headed over for my bucket, I had to wait for the Jonas Brothers to appear. And once that was done, it's a game.
Hey, you know what? It's stick up for cancer, so it's for a great cause. So
it was. I'll give him,
One thing I did want to say about Yamamoto is he pitched 9 innings, but only pitched 105. Only 105 pitches in 9 innings. So he was in total domination. And I think, Eric, you brought up a great point. I think there must have been 3 straight 1, 2, 3 innings, but he let his defense behind him really help him out. I mean, there were just balls right to Muncy, and again, they were hit hard, but right at him. There was no really thing. I mean, there was a couple of fly balls, but there was nothing dominant. And I thought maybe Toronto, especially after having the success of game 1, with Yamamoto with 6 different pitches, they thought about it. What's coming? It's not going to be a fastball. Is it going to be a curveball? It's going to be a sliver. When you think about it, the pitching already has you. Just get up there and rack, and rake the ball wherever you can. But, hey, Yamamoto got the win. I give him all the credit in the world. Toronto with a day off will come back. And again, Tyler Glasnow is a completely different pitcher. So I expect Toronto at least, to score a little bit more. But again, you only get 4 hits at home. You shouldn't win. And 1 run. Yeah. So it's just a part of the game.
That's a fact. And I don't know what you could chalk this up to. I mean, didn't you think that was a little bit different, Lou, the way that the Toronto Blue Jays were approaching? I mean,
that's why I thought maybe with the Yamamoto, like sometimes where these guys have such a great pitch, like Gosman's got, the sinker. You think about the sinker and you wait for the sinker before you know you're 0-2 on fastballs right down the pipe.
Yeah.
And I thought Yamamoto today was so good where he could place the ball wherever he wanted.
Good point.
It was just really more, I think, psychological. And, I felt bad for the Toronto fans because they were standing up. They were ready. And, Gosman pitched great, 6 2/3. He retired, I think I said, at one time, like 17
16,
straight.
17. Yeah, it was a lot.
So he did his job. The hitters just didn't do their job. So, that happens.
That happens. You run into a guy, and again, Marty has talked about it. I've said it numerous times on the show, pitching and defense. And I tell you, and that's what's going to get you the victory. And today, yes, they did. Well, hell, Freeman gifted a base runner, overruns a pop fly. Would you ever expect Freeman to do such a thing? He overruns it.
Take advantage.
Yeah, you got to take advantage. Yes, it's a gift, and you got to go out there and take advantage. But look, when Yamamoto, as you said, Lou, when he is being able to spot his pitches and locate where he wants them to, man, hey, he's going to have success, and he did today. I mean, you saw that first inning, and you're like, okay, Toronto Blue Jays maybe in a driver's seat. You got like 23 pitches out of the guy, so it's like, okay, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But then after that, just the game plan fell through the roof, man.
And Eric and Glenn, isn't it amazing when you got these great pitchers? They come out of warming up in the bullpen, usually the first and maybe the second inning, they're all over the place. If you don't take advantage of them, they get in a groove. And I know we talked about that on the pre thing yesterday with Marty. They are like unhittable. It's like, my God, you just almost got him in the first. You almost got him in the second. Now you can't even get a fly ball. It's just amazing. And that's what makes these pitchers. You got to get them early. You got to take care of the chances. I mean, hey, look at the way the Dodgers, they were suffering. Then one of their guys, again, Will Smith is not really one of their superstars, comes up, hits the homer right down the line. Then,
Max
he's trying to go down, and then Max Muncy, who always seems to hit it. It's amazing. The one thing about the Dodgers that we spoke about Toronto last night is they have these unknown guys that always seem to come through in the clutch. You know what I mean? And it's a big thing. Max Muncy, my God, I know he bats 800 against the Giants, but in playoffs, he comes through. Will Smith, the guy was out, I think, 7 weeks. We all talked about the injury. And then that's another thing. Without Bo, maybe he played last night. He gave a little lift. Tonight, he didn't start. Maybe he was pure because, hey, he gets tonight off. We can pitch it. And then he gets tomorrow off. So he comes back. He gets 2 days off. Before game 3. But that's another thing where, as Glenn said last night, with him in the lineup, it extends it. Well, he wasn't in the lineup tonight, and, they couldn't come through. So, just another topic. And, that's another decision by the manager. And again, we'll never know why Bichette didn't play, but, I thought it was sort of a key thing.
I'm going to take a stab in the dark. I think it was a platoon, kind of for left bats from the left. You're facing a righty. So you want to put as many left-handed bats in a lineup. I mean, we've talked about this. Got to put out your best players. And who knows, maybe Bo Bichette's knee isn't 100%. You see that big, giant freaking pad he has on the end of his knee.
Yeah, after last night on the dive.
Bo Bichette couldn't go tonight. He wasn't going to go tonight. He was playing game 1, and game 3 they would decide. They said he was off too long. They were going to assess him after game 1 to see if he could go more likely game 3. So that was expected, listening to Buck and Dan call the game today. I think the Dodgers now. The Dodgers are right where they got to be. They split on the road. They're going home. They got better pitching. And like Lou said, this reminds me of that last series when the Dodgers came in. And Oracle Park was full of blue and white. And listening to the game, I mentioned it to you on our show. It was you and I, Eric, during that series. I said, my God, listening to the Giant fans on KNBR. The Giants could sweep. The Dodgers have nothing. I'm like, you guys are imbeciles. You don't know baseball. This is a professional lineup, Lou. We talk about it. How many times have you guys thrown me a bone during the year and going, Wilmer Flores, now he's clutch. Well, there weren't too many more clutch players than the Giants. They got a busload of them in that Dodger lineup. So Dodgers, I mean, I'm not going to start this conversation, but I will say it's night and day. I mean, you can't even mention the Giants in the same breath as the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Well, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know, man.
Imagine, Eric, they got a catcher who blasted a home run today. They got a catcher who can hit. It's a nice thing to have, isn't it?
It is. And we got a catcher who could catch because he did win, or I should say earn the field. Sounds like he's going to be on his he's going to get his second Gold Glove. Just saying.
Yeah, have you ever, Eric, before that announcement, have you ever heard of that award?
I've heard of that award. Yeah, it's Sports Info Solutions does it.
What? What was the name of the award?
The Fielding Bible Award. They give it to they give it out to every person who plays the best at each position.
Hey Lou, sounds more like a participation award to me.
Can I get that ribbon in blue, please?
Yeah. It's actually pretty good. So just
Eric, I just want to say one thing about these awards. When they said Kratman was up for Silver Slugger Award.
The Silver Slugger one.
Kidding me? How is he up for the Silver Slugger Award? I mean,
that one's a bit much.
Are you kidding me? Again, another participation. But hey, regardless, good for Bailey. But I just wish you could hit his weight. Give me.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Look, we all can agree that he is a fantastic defensive catcher. We all can agree on that. Problem is, we need a little bit more with the bat for the simple fact.
Correct.
We saw it in this year when you got a bunch of guys who are striking out or not coming through in the clutch. You're going to have a guy that has a bat. You can't have that many holes in the lineup, especially in the beginning of the season. It started getting better towards the end, but for halfway through that season, if you got guys with a bunch of holes, well, guess what? Their lack of hitting is going to be exaggerated even more, and that's why Paley got the and rightfully so, right? I mean, he didn't get above 200 until what, August? So,
well, Eric, work with me here. I know this will be an extreme measure here, but I would give up Bailey any day of the week. Tomorrow, I ship him off. Any takers? If I could get a guy like Cal Raleigh, or half of Cal Raleigh, if I could get a guy who gets me 75 RBIs, hits me 20 bombs, that ain't Bailey. I give up all my catching. Catchers, I can honestly say, I don't know about you guys. I mean, you guys love them. I honestly watch a ball game and I don't go, oh, the defense today. I don't start my radio broadcast last night in Major League Baseball, a defensive gem by the catcher. I don't really care. Catching to me is a dime a dozen. I want offense. Just because the guy can, what do you steal some strikes? That didn't win the ball games. They didn't win enough to get to the playoffs, so they need offense. They didn't win games because they didn't have a catcher who could hit, in my opinion.
Well, if they address other positions, then we don't have to worry. Then it doesn't become as a problem. That's what I'm trying to say. Because you can't look. The Giants got already too much on their to-do list, and the last thing they need to do is get rid of a catcher who is okay, right? Talking about going out there and catching the ball, right?
Yeah, but
He
anybody
doesn't
can catch the ball, Eric. I'm sure give you a mitt and a blocker.
Yeah, but he
you
throws
catch
out
the ball.
runners. He throws out
I
runners.
want a guy who contributes, and he does not contribute.
But this is the problem. Who are you going to trade? Who are you going to trade to get a catcher? You got too many other items on the top of the list to trade for than Patrick Bailey. That's the problem. Giants need starting rotation. Giants need an outfielder. Giants probably need a second baseman. I think catcher is on the bottom, though, of all those wants and needs.
Of the top 5, it's the 5th thing. That's why these people live in a dream world. All these people saying, oh, we could trade for Screwball. We could trade for schemes. Guys, first of all, we don't have enough to get these guys. I'm so sick of these guys saying, oh, we can just trade Eldridge. Do you think Detroit would trade just Eldridge, a non-proving major leaguer, for probably a guy who's going to be back-to-back Cy Youngs? No, you got to give up more.
Yeah, you do. Oh, it's going to take an Eldridge, a Roop, probably a Ramos. I mean, it's going to involve.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot. So stop dreaming. I'm just, again, hey, we're going to talk more about the playoff game tonight, but, just these guys, it's constant. All these guys popping up trying to be, sort of how your show has become, and they just talk just so people can look at it, talk about it. Right now, the main thing, the focus should be the World Series and the new cheerleader on the San Francisco Giants. That's it. Stop talking about these trades. Once the World Series is over,
then we could get into it.
Come back to Eric and Glenn and start working on the free agents.
100%.
I don't understand it. But, I think, Eric, you bring up a great point. We have more to do this offseason than we did last season.
That's a fact.
Just, how it is. Yeah.
Okay, Glenn, you're talking about this. Are you concerned about the Blue Jays pitching, right? That's what you're concerned about?
Yeah,
right now?
I said that. I don't think – I mean, going to L.A., they got Scherzer and Bieber in the next 2. That don't cut it, dude. This is the World Series, and that's the best you got. I think that's going to be their downfall, is starting pitching. And even when you factor in, take a look. You Savage and Scherzer and Bieber. Ain't much there on the bone, is there?
Yeah, I don't know about the Scherzer one. That one could get ugly. Bieber, I'm not too concerned about. Right? Bieber, he's done okay. I think he could take you 5 innings, maybe. Right? If he's more efficient, he could go 6, maybe 7.
Well, where's the pitching defense in this series then? Because the Dodgers get the pitching, the Blue Jays, in my opinion, and I follow them, pretty closely.
One thing about Glasnow.
This is the series.
But if you got Glasnow going with Scherzer, that's kind of equal, because Glasnow can give up a stinker here and there. He's not always spot on like he has been in the postseason. In the postseason, he's been really good. Don't get me wrong.
Who would you rather have if it was your team? And
I would rather have Glasnow than Scherzer. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just saying, I know Toronto's lineup, and Toronto's lineup, I think, will give Glasnow some fits. They're a lot more patient.
Toronto needs at least on this 3-game road trip, where they need to win 1 to make sure they come back to the Rogers Center, is they need to at least score four runs. If it's a low-scoring game, that means the Dodgers are dominating. But yeah, they got to score, and they got to hope that their pitchers keep them in the game, and then it's going to come down to, as Eric said, the battle of the bullpens. And I think if we can get to the battle of the bullpens, that's where the Blue Jays have the advantage.
Lou, I thought that I'm cheering for the Jays. Like I say, I'm a closet Jay fan. I follow them in the American League and enjoy watching them. They're the only thing on when I'm up here. But I think LA could run the table at home. I think the series could be over.
I don't think.
What was their record coming into the World Series?
They were 14-2.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I think they could run the table now. I think they could just.
I don't think. No. In a row? You think they could win 3 in a row against Toronto? You think Toronto would allow it? I don't know. That's a lot. Cincinnati, okay. The way that the Phillies, even the Phillies. I mean, I didn't think the Phillies.
This is a team that was down 0-2 and went on the road. So
that's true.
The road's not going to dominate. Toronto's not going to be worried. I think, hey, their goal is try to make sure, they win game 3 or 4, because game 5, it's going to be real tough because you're already going to be down 3-1. But, try to get one of these early ones. That means you're always coming back to the Rogers Center.
Yep.
And again, Yamamoto, you give him credit, but good hitting teams bounce back. And, I think Toronto's going to bounce back. I mean, look what they did in game 1 against Snell, who was almost as dominant as Yamamoto. So, I'm not worried. The problem is, and Glenn brings this point, is 5 runs going to be enough against the Dodgers if Toronto's pitching doesn't respond? Maybe they need to at least score 6. So I think especially in LA, the ball seems to carry a lot better. If the weather-wise, if it's a little bit hotter, if, night games, they seem to fly. But remember, these games are all local time, 5:08. So, the pitching is going to have an advantage probably the first 2 innings because of the glare, the sunrise, all this stuff. I don't even know.
What's the time? What's the start times?
5:08 local.
Okay, that's okay then.
Lou, today I looked at the rosters. Like I said, I did a deeper dive into stuff today, and I should have been more prepared yesterday because I would have taken a different approach to this. When you simply looked at the starting pitching staffs, I thought this could be then a 5-game series when I took a look at it today. And the reason why I think the Dodgers could go on a run now is that's what they have done. That is what they always do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you compare the two lineups, I mean, again, with my heart, go Jays. With the noggin, it's Ernie Clement at third. Who do you want, Ernie Clement? Or do you want the Dodger third baseman?
Max. Yeah.
Do you want, take your picks. You want one of the Jays outfielders? I mean, man for man, pound for pound, the Dodgers are just a dominating team. I think they could go on a run and win it now that they're going home. And they suffered a loss last night. I mean, those are few and far between. You're expecting the Dodgers to lose 4 out of 7?
No. I'm saying I don't think they're going to win 3 in a row in LA, though. I think it goes back to Toronto.
I don't think so, but I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Because their lineup is just too good. The way that their approach. I'm talking about Toronto Blue Jays. Their lineup is too good to throw away 3 games. I can't see that happening. Now,
I don't think now they've used up they got no Bieber and Scherzer. I think they're
I'm okay with Bieber. To be honest with you,
with Bieber too.
I would have rather have seen Bieber go against Glasnow than Scherzer. But then again, I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, you got to get him somewhere. But I'm not sold on Glasnow. He's out of all the pitchers that the starting pitchers that the Dodgers are going to be throwing, Glasnow I think is the weakest one. But who knows? It is,
and that's a sad. What you just said is not a bad take, but it's a sad take. They're trying to putting Bieber into game 4. They're trying. Then you look at it, and you go, they're just
that's going to be
steal a win.
It's going to be Bieber against Ohtani then, right? Is that how it's going to be? Yeah. See,
Ohtani.
That one ain't going to be easy.
See, that's why I think if you got the next 2, the Dodgers easily can take the next 2. I think
if they lose game 3, talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get your wins against Ohtani, and then I'm guessing Blake Snell again, right? I'm guessing Blake Snell will be game 5. Yeah. So, whew. You got to do your damage against.
Then you got Snell and you got Yamamoto. You're right back in, and then those are the games you got to win. Oof.
We'll have to look at this. Some of those Blue Jay players have some history on Mr. Glasnow because they're in the same division, so they're familiar with Glasnow. It's not like they're going to be facing a guy that they've never seen before in, say, a Yamamoto, where you may have never seen him at all in the season, depending on how the schedule worked. But you've seen Glasnow or Glasnow. So maybe you have a little bit of a benefit as far as a Toronto Blue Jay player saying, hey, but the thing is I don't know what their numbers are against Glasnow, but he played for Tampa Bay for a few years. So there could be some quote unquote ownage by some of the players from the Toronto Blue Jays. I just haven't looked at it.
I think it's going to be over. Sad as it is.
But
I picked the Dodgers to win the World Series, so I'm bang on.
All right. Hey, look, anything can happen. That's why I said I think this goes 7. This very easily. Now, does it mean that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win game 7? No, but I think it's going game 7.
What do you think, Lou? I think it goes.
When
I think
you
it
think
goes.
the reverse is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just one
That's
of
a
those
fact.
things. I think we're giving too much credit for Glasnow. You got to remember, last time I think he only went 5 2/3.
Something like that.
Starts before, he was the one that was sort of the missing link. That he couldn't. I mean, Snell pitched great. Glasnow was sort of the problem. He leaves his balls up. And Toronto can hit him. And then with Ohtani, hey, he pitched great last game, but again, as I said, it was against Milwaukee, who they basically gave up. Toronto's this type of team where when you think they're dead, they're going to keep coming back. So I think, hey, we could be doing a post-game Monday night saying, oh, my God, the Blue Jays stole another one. Now they have Beaver going on game 4, and it's advantage. It's just, one of those things where, they're trying to do what they think is right. I think the key thing about the series tonight, and they were talking about it on Fox, is even though they got blasted last night and they lost 1-0, there was no panic in the Dodgers locker room. They were playing their music. They were laughing. They were having fun. And that's because they've been there before. Remember, Toronto hasn't been there. So it's a huge, huge advantage, where it's not one game series. As Marty said the other day, it's a World Series.
Yes.
So it's the first 1 to 4. The other thing, too, is knock on wood, I don't want to see it, but, this playoffs have been pretty clean, and really only one guy for Toronto who keeps getting almost injured and getting hit and everything. We've been sort of lucky where there hasn't been a major injury. We just don't know. And it's, one of those things, I don't want to see it, but that's why they play the games. It seems like Springer, I've never seen anything. The guy is the hero last night. The game 2 games ago, he almost breaks his knee. He gets hit again, where he literally hit him 3 times. So, it's just one of those things. But, this is why baseball is so great, and I'll use that line again. We think we know. It's amazing how 24 hours Glenn now says, hey, we're not going back to Toronto. I think we're going back because I think Toronto is strong enough to at least get one game.
I think so.
Who knows?
One game.
If they win game 3, maybe they can get one of the other ones. And all of a sudden, the Dodgers are going to have to win, maybe 2 back in Toronto. Now, that doesn't mean, that Dodgers can't do it. But I just don't see the Dodgers winning 4 straight, because if they win all 3 in LA, that means they beat Toronto 4 straight times.
Right.
And I just don't see that.
Oh, I do. What about you, Eric? You say it
no way. 7. No way they win 4 in a row. No,
I say 5, Lou says 6, and you say 7. Somebody's going to be right. Somebody's going to get it.
Someone's getting it. Now, whether it's the team that we select is a different story. But I can't see okay, that's a good question. What's the longest losing streak that the Blue Jays ever had this season? It couldn't have been very many because they finished.
Oh, no, they went on. Didn't they lose 8 straight? I'll look
Did
it
they?
up.
Maybe.
Yeah, they were a trifle. And that was a team that had the second most, or
94 wins on the season. 94
so
wins.
that's a good team. But yet still and it was all a result of the fact that they've got a flawed lineup.
Yeah.
They got a flawed lineup.
And that's a fact.
When things go well, all the cylinders connect and click together, boom, they can be lights out. But they have weaknesses too.
No,
again, look at their starting pitching.
Absolutely.
This is the World Series. And that pitching ledger is terrible. For a World Series team.
You could very well, the Toronto Blue Jays could come out and just be smacking the ball around. But you know what? The Dodgers could come out and smack the ball around as well. So it may be one of those type of games where it's just going to be high. It's funny because you talked about that, Lou, in the preview. It's going to be high scoring. First game, high scoring. This game, 5-1. I mean, that's quite a bit for the Dodgers, not so much for the Blue Jays. But when we get to LA, it's quite possible we're going to see some more crooked numbers to go along with what you were saying in that preview, Lou. Again, we're coming to California. Weather's a little bit better, I should say. And the ball can fly, especially in the power alleys, man. It takes off. And you got to watch out for Shohei when you get back to LA as well. He loves that right field. But It's going to be interesting to watch, man. As Podin says, after Toronto loses 4 straight, Eric will say that's baseball. Well, it is. It is baseball. It's baseball. That answers, look, those 2 words, that's baseball, even though it's vague, it encompasses everything about the game. And if you've watched the game, Podin, you understand, right? You understand how it is. But I can't. If they lose 4 in a row, man, that's going to be something. Let me ask you this question, Glenn. Mm-hmm. Schneider did not go to Little today. I don't know if he's even on the roster. He went to Hoffman. His first pitch coming out of the bullpen, he winds up throwing a freaking scud.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the manager can pull all the moves that he wants, but the pitcher's got to go out there and he's got to take care of business. Now, it didn't matter whether or not he came in because Toronto didn't score any more runs, so it would have been 3-1 anyways. But guys got to come out. When they're coming out of the bullpen, man, you got to make sure you're ready to go. And, hey, it happens. It happens. I was surprised you went to Hoffman, though. Yeah,
I got no problem with that either in the postseason, Eric. It could be the 4th inning. Bring your closer in because
sometimes you do. Yeah.
The need arises. I mean, you could have you could be down by 9 runs or you could be up by 9 runs in the 9th. Play the game the way it unfolds. And I think I was watching that tonight. And when they went to him, I was thinking that, hey, bring your guy, bring your ace, bring your best relief pitcher in right now, because now is where it matters.
In 2016, Terry Francona did that with the Cleveland Guardians. Remember Andrew Miller, the wicked lefty? That guy was lights out, and he would bring him in.
You are an encyclopedia of baseball knowledge I just can't keep up with you.
Miller would come in he came in one time in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. He then came back, saved a game, and then he came back and did the 3rd, 4th, and 5th because he knew those were the biggest outs of the game.
Yes.
But that's also why Terry Francona is a Hall of Fame manager.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was something. But to Cleveland's credit, they had a hell of a bullpen because they still had who is that righty?
But he still was sort of how Timmy was for the Giants in the playoffs.
Yeah,
when he came in, it was shut down, 9 outs. So instead, the game was only 18 outs they had to get to win, and it was always the biggest outs of the game. So, but no, I mean, it's going to be one of those things, where. Hey, I'm still going to watch the game. I'm going to root for Toronto, to see what we can do. The other thing, too, is it's a lot different. And I think game 3 is, we're all talking about how we're already putting the Dodgers in the winner's circle before they run the race. The movie stars are going to be out. It's going to be a rocking crowd. They're probably going to give some award. There'll be Hall of Famers and movie stars everywhere. And, you don't know. The Dodgers might lay an egg. It's just one of those things. When you come home, you put your guard down. And that's why Toronto, if you notice, when they went on the road, they went on to Seattle where that place was rocking. We all talked about how good Seattle's pitching is, and they came through. So, let's get excited about the games and see what we could do. I really think Toronto's going to, come through because they've been coming through all season. I think it's important.
Yeah, they absolutely have. So it's going to be fun. Let's see what happens. And then we'll be back on here to talk about it all over again. So, yeah, man. Again.
I'm looking at September, Eric. At one point, I'm just randomly scrolling here. At one point in September, leading up to the postseason, the Jays have been playing Tampa Bay, the Royals, the Red Sox. They lost like 6 of 7 or 7 of 8. So they can go on when things aren't clicking. If you're not getting the pitch, if you don't have the pitching and the bats aren't coming alive, because what do you always say, Eric? Pitching and defense? Pitching wins in the postseason.
100%.
And I don't think the Jays have it, man.
Yeah. They don't have to worry about Yamamoto until game 6.
Remember our first broadcast last year? Actually, technically our second, but remember our opening day broadcast last year, you and I? It was the trade deadline. And what was the thing I harped on? I said the Blue Jays, any pitching they did have that afternoon,
they got rid of it.
He traded it away. I went, Eric, when I say they're getting peanut vendors, I said they got nobody. This is why you got guys like Trey Yasevich pitching 3 games and becoming the game one starter in the World Series. They don't have enough pitching.
Yeah.
And Eric and Glenn, I think what's amazing is we forget, because it's only been 362 days. The Dodgers had 2 bullpen openers. They really were down to 1 starter last year in the World Series and still won. Now you're giving them 3 aces to go with the same team that won it last year. So that's a huge advantage, where they don't worry about it. But like I said, when you come home, hopefully they put the guard down and, Toronto's hitting. Hey, Toronto knows they're going to have to hit. So you're going to have to get more than 1 run, 4 hits a game, and you're going to have to hit in the clutch. As you said earlier, they had their opportunities. They only put 1 up, but they had a chance to maybe put 2 or 3, and the game's different. As we said, they were down 1-0. It was tied 1-1, and, you had your ace retiring 17 straight, but you couldn't get the lead. All he needs is them to come up 1 run and say they're up 2-1. The game's completely different. The bullpen might be different. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. You got to get the lead. I think it's important.
All right, we got to show. I'm going to show what the weather's going to be like in LA, and tell me if the ball's going to fly or not. Get rid of that. Monday, 77. Tuesday, 91. Wednesday, 90.
Ball will be flying Tuesday and Wednesday.
And during the regular season, Eric, Dodgers took 2 out of 3, and they do to the Blue Jays what they do to everybody else. They do Dodger things. They won 5-1. They won 9-1, and then they were leading in the 8th, and the bullpen lost it for them, so they lost 5-4. They could easily have swept them.
We'll see what happens.
And hey, this is me calling my spade a spade, because I still want the Blue Jays to win. I just don't see how.
They may not win the series. I'm still rooting for them, but I don't think they're going to lose another. I can't see them losing 4 in a row. I can't.
Why? Why? Break that down for me. I want to know why.
They haven't done it. They haven't done it yet here in the postseason. They have not yet. The most they've ever lost is 2 in a row, and that's it. And then they've come.
The Dodgers had lost, like Lou said, 2 all postseason. And that's fine. So that's why I think they could roll off 4 in a row.
They could, but it's possible. I'm not saying it's not an impossibility, but I think the Blue Jays, this is the biggest competition that the Dodgers have faced throughout the entire playoffs. Cincinnati did nothing. Philadelphia did nothing. Milwaukee did nothing. Toronto is a better team. That's just me. I think they're the best team out of those 3 that I just.
Oh, I think Milwaukee was a better team than Toronto.
No,
Dodgers beat them.
Worse. Milwaukee's pitching was worse than Toronto.
I think if Milwaukee, remember I said to you, I said the Toronto Blue Jays would give the Dodgers a better run. I think if it was Milwaukee and the Blue Jays, that could get ugly too. I just think the National League is stronger, and we'll see what happens. Now, we're back where we started yesterday. It's all squared away. So what do you think, Eric? What do you think happens in the series?
I think it goes 7.
You still think it goes 7?
I'm thinking it goes 7. I'm rooting for the Blue Jays, but I think it goes 7, and the Blue Jays take it. Now, as far as this next 3, that's going to be tough. I'll say at least Toronto wins 1 out of these 3. At least wins 1 out of these 3. What do you think, Lou?
Yeah, I definitely think we're going back to Toronto for at least Game 6. I mean, the Dodgers might be up 3-2, but I think Toronto is good enough. You got to remember, we were talking literally before and after yesterday's game how great their offense was. Hey, today they had a dominant pitcher dominate them. They're not going to have to worry about him until Game 6. Okay, so they're going to be able to get these other guys. The one thing too is today you had a guy go the whole game. We never saw the Dodgers middle relief. I don't think. I don't think Glasnow is going to go 8 innings, or
no, I don't think he goes 8 either.
So I think he probably goes 6, and then we get the middle relief. And Eric, you've been saying this all playoffs. The Dodgers middle relief is shaky.
Stinks. Yeah.
And it stinks. So that's where you got to give Toronto a little credit. And, I think they're a great hitting team. What they've done, and which is sort of different, is, if you watch the way they were pitching, they realize they're not going to give Guerrero anything. They're literally making Guerrero hit their pitches
Yeah, they
instead
are.
of the other way. So when you look at the lineup, beside Kirk with the sacrifice fly, we're going to need somebody else on Toronto to step up. And,
Absolutely.
as yesterday, the bottom of the lineup stepped up. They didn't do it today, but especially when you go on the road, you're going to have guys have, 2-hit games. You're going to have to play maybe small ball, but you're going to have to set it up. And the other thing, too, is just baseball in general. Whenever you have a team that scores 9 runs in 1 inning, you're not going to expect it the next game. It's just baseball. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
They have a great offensive team. I mean, I remember the Giants, they'd scored 9 runs in a game. They didn't score 9 runs for the next 3 games combined. It's just one of those things. It's baseball. That's what makes it beauty. But you got to remember, yesterday they scored 9 in 1 inning. They scored 11 runs. We knew that it was going to be tough. First of all, you're going against Yamamoto, but you knew Toronto wasn't going to have the same offensive power. That you were hoping they would get at least 2 or 3. They only got 1. So, we move on. We go to LA, and we'll be back for game.
Are you surprised? Real quick, Glenn, are you surprised? I want to ask you this. One thing that the Toronto Blue Jays were doing, laying down bunts. We have not yet to see the Blue Jays laying down any bunts in these 2 games. That's kind of part of their game to advance some runners. I'm surprised they're going to do that in certain situations.
I can say this again. I don't know which broadcast you were watching. There was an opportunity last night to lay down a bunt. They had runners at first and second to move them over. I honestly can't remember who was at bat.
He tried to bunt the first one. He missed it. Then he took a strike. He was 0-2, but that's when he waited until he got the walk.
Like Dan Shulman brought up. Shulman and Buck Martinez do the broadcast. Dan Shulman, it's usually Buck has great commentary, but Shulman said, this Blue Jay team isn't strong enough to be laying down bunts. You got to expect the Dodgers are going to score 4 and 5 runs. So they weren't going to nickel and dime for a run on a bunt here, or move 2 into scoring position and hope you get one. They were we get the bat on the ball. They're a team that gets a bat on the ball. It doesn't mean bunt. It means try to drive those runs in. And they're up against the Dodgers. Why not?
And here's the thing. It's a good point. But because they weren't having any success against Yamamoto, sometimes you have to go out there and manufacture. And that's how they got their only one. It took a hit by pitch, right? And then you had eventually you got Springer over to third, and then Kirk was able to get that sack fly. Interesting.
Other than that, but think about it. Other than that first inning, when they had a walk and a hit, and then like you just brought up that segment of the game, Eric, other than that, the Jays did nothing. They laid an egg tonight.
Yeah, they did. Real quick, you know what? The home run ball came in effect today, again, as it did yesterday for Toronto. You know what? Giants Sports Talk Live. We got some home run hitters.
Giant Sports Talk Live, brought to you by Lefties in Burlingame. Visit Lefties for all of your Giants collecting needs. By GenesisGoldIRA.com, Signatures for Soldiers. Duxwell Printing, for all of your printing needs in the Bay Area. Visit Duxwell Printing at 37 Wentworth Place in San Francisco. And by BetterCreditCards.com, for the best credit card choice for you. Visit BetterCreditCards.com, covering the San Francisco Giants nightly. Online, we are Giant Sports Talk Live. Now, back to Eric and Glenn.
Nice round.
Yeah, you know what? John is watching the show tonight. John is a big sponsor, Eric. And if we don't give John, like in the political scene, you got to sometimes roll out a red carpet. We got to roll out the red carpet for John tonight.
Safeguard your 401k or IRA with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA. This IRA can hold physical precious metals. Protect your retirement today with a simple phone call to receive a free gold and silver guide. Call Genesis Gold Group now at 1-800-200-GOLD. Find out how you can add precious metals to your IRA. Visit us at GenesisGoldIRA.com. Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. That's Genesis Gold IRA.com.
So we thank John for his sponsorship. And Eric, Eric, our favorite sponsors. They keep the lights on in a big way. I mean, we were even able to change the bulbs. If you need a credit card, Eric, where do you go?
BetterCreditCards.com, baby.
Attaboy.
There we go. Right on.
All righty.
All right, I think that covers it for tonight. I think. What do you guys think? I think we killed this one pretty good. We covered all the bases. We covered all the bases, pun intended. So we'll be back here Monday nights around the same time, 8:15, somewhere around there, depending how long the game goes. Again, let's do this. I'll start with you, Lou. You got Glasnow versus Mad Max Scherzer, future San Francisco Giant. For those of you who know, you know. What do you think? Who's gonna lead the way out of those? Well, let's just say who's gonna have a better outing.
Neither. I think it's gonna be a very high scoring game. I think I'm just seeing like a 6-5, 7-6, and especially now that I saw what you're saying, it's gonna be 90 degrees. That means the ball is going to be flying out for games 4 and 5. But I think, Toronto, hey, you got beat by great pitching. Just bounce back and play your game. Yep. I mean, I think we're making too much of the starting pitching right now. And I think we really got to give credit to Yamamoto. He dominated.
He did.
As Glenn said, after the first inning. And you got to remember, he dominated Toronto when Toronto's team was being dominated. It's a lot different when you're going so low and you're up 5-0 and you're retiring. He had to do that because Gosman was doing so well. So you got to give him credit. Toronto, again, it's one of those things. They had a big night power-wise. They didn't have the power tonight, but I think they'll bring it, to LA. So game 3, I think it's very up, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers take 2 out of 3. I also wouldn't be surprised if Toronto takes 2 out of 3. It's just one of those things. This whole playoffs have been phenomenal, and it wouldn't be kosher if it ended in LA. I want more baseball.
I agree. I like it. Glenn.
It's going to be warm, Eric. Blue Jays aren't used to that. It's cooler up in Canada. We got the dome. If it gets warm at all, remotely warm, or it rains, obviously, let's close the old, takes 18 minutes, I think, 19 minutes to close the dome. So they can get that taken care of. Now they're going to go play in it like 90 degrees, Eric. I think the Dodgers, home sweet home. They win 6-2. Jays will get a few hits. So I'll give them 6-3 final. Dodgers win the next game. And I still think they're going to take this series quite handily.
Interesting. Okay. There you go. You heard it here. All right.
Let's get the Dodgers. At Dodger Stadium. They go back to Chavez Ravine. I mean, like Lou said, those celebrities, I pay more attention. All I had to watch this last couple of games, I saw Colonel Sanders. Now I'm going to get the whole back row there. I mean, it's exciting. Anyway, I got to go have some chicken and get a fresh Pepsi, and I'll see you guys.
I'll tell you what. What do you you got, you yesterday you had the Marlins, man. Today you had Colonel Sanders, and you had the Jonas Brothers. How is LA going to top the Jonas Brothers? Come on.
My favorite. Well, that's Milwaukee, but actually, Mary Hart. Mary's always there till the 7th inning. God rest her soul. So go ahead.
All right, let's get the heck out of here. Lou, thanks for showing up again, man.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me. Glad I could be here.
Love you, Lou.
Enjoy the NFL tomorrow, and I look forward to Monday.
I'm going to run over. I'm going to watch the Saskatchewan or Friday. Is it over now? It should be over. I'm going to miss the end of the game. So Saskatchewan playing tonight.
Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night and your Sunday. We'll be back here Monday night for Game 3 postgame.
See you then, Eric.
Woo!
You've been watching the Fall Classic Sports Talk Live with Glenn and Eric, an in-depth review of today's World Series matchup between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers, a Northern Lights Entertainment broadcasting production.